What's up, YouTube? I'm Robert, and you're watching the B1KER Bar Podcast. So you guys are married. You guys typically are kind of van lifing, and because you're both professional racers, but this year is a little bit funky. And
it's weird.
Yes, it is.
I think you guys are in New Mexico. Am I right there?
Yeah, we are. We're in Taos. So I think it's kind of funny because you used to always say like that van life prepared us for the apocalypse, and like if there were a zombie apocalypse, like we'd be ready. We just like drive off into the mountains in the van. And it wasn't very good for this particular apocalypse. So we are at our sort of home base, which is Macky's parents' house here in Taos. So that's where we've been since April.
Oh, wow.
Which is
pretty much,
the longest we've been in one place for like
5 years
or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happens whenever you sit around for a few months. All of a sudden, you're like, "Hey, man, it's my birthday. I think I'm going to try to climb the elevation of Everest in one day on my bike."
Yeah, pretty much. When all the races get canceled, you're like, got to entertain yourself somehow.
How do you even come up with that? Like, was it like you get a Facebook ad and it's like, "Hey, have you got hit with the stupid book?" Or
Well, it's sort of been a popular challenge recently. A lot of pro roadies, a certain number of mountain bikers have started doing it recently because, once again, racing's canceled. So people are looking for a way to challenge themselves, something to train for. And I sort of looked around and was like, okay, are there any really good steep paved sections in the area? Because that's how most people are doing it. They're doing it on a road bike. They're doing it on pavement. And I was like, well, no, not really. It would have been a lot easier, but I figured if there wasn't going to be a good section, I might as well just go the opposite direction and go for like most crazy epic one I could possibly come up with.
I think you nailed it. I'm pretty much sure you nailed it on that one.
Thanks.
It's a super interesting challenge because if you find a hill that's steep enough and paved, like we initially when we started talking about it, we're like, maybe if we find the right hill and you could go for a record attempt, because I think at that point Phil Guyman had the record, or the guy right after him. And sorry, like the cats are trying to break down.
It's understandable. I can see the little paw sliding under the door right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, we kind of initially thought we're like, maybe could try a record attempt, but there's nothing around here that really fits the bill on that. So then like plan B was like, what's the hardest possible thing we could come up with?
Yeah, because starting at like 9,000 feet of elevation probably is right up there on the hard difficulty level there.
Yeah, 9,000, starting at 9,500, topping out at just over 12 was about. Yeah, it was. It's one of the highest. I believe there's one that we know of that's higher, but it was on pavement, and they actually were Everesting up to Everest Base Camp. So that was pretty cool.
Or below. I don't know.
Or maybe
it's not paved all the way to Everest Base Camp, is it?
I don't know. But anyway,
it was higher.
That one was really high, but it was on pavement, and it was a lot longer.
If it was me, I would go down to like the beach. And then I would find something that's like 10 feet higher than that. And I would just ride around in circles for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other
closer to like 12 hours probably.
You don't know how fast I can ride in circles, man.
You could go to Hawaii because there's that climb up the volcano that goes from 0 to like 10,000.
Yeah,
so you could just do it 3 times.
There you go. That sounds
easy.
Yeah. That's really, I can't tell you guys how inspired I was. I'm sure you guys have heard it about 1 billion times on your channel already, but it was quite an amazing feat. I mean, between just like what Syd had to do on the planning side compared to like also, or not compared to, like also like your friends that came out and climbed with you, and like Macky, you're just amazing, like athlete. I mean, it just boggled me to think about that kind of climbing at that elevation. I don't know if everybody that's listening has ridden at that elevation, but I know in Tahoe, like the highest that we get is right around 10,000. And I would say when I personally hit like 8,500 feet, man, I start feeling like you're like, man, you're not feeling with it, you know? So are you guys at elevation already? Like you're like living at like 6,000 or 7,000 feet?
85.
Oh, wow. So you guys are like pretty much.
I actually think Macky didn't even think about the elevation factor of this until we did our first video about preparing for it. And every single comment, everyone was like, you should do it at sea level, blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, yeah, I guess it is a little different to do it from like 85 to 12 than like 0 to 4, but whatever.
I started riding bikes in New Mexico, so in northern New Mexico, which is actually at elevation. So I've always raced in the mountains at elevation. Yeah. It's just something I don't really think about that much.
It does probably affect you still at 12,
sure.
At least at the top.
Yeah. So there's no question, but I just don't really think about it.
Yeah, right. If you like that, make sure you check out the full episode. And hey, do me a favor, before you take off, hit the like and subscribe.